Jelani, how different is this week, knowing that it's conference play?
Everything gets more important now in this point of the season. Conference play, this is all the games now really going to the playoffs and stuff, which are our goals and stuff now. So it's more urgency now this week, if any, than the weeks past.
What do you remember about the game last time you played this team here in 2011?
I remember we needed to win that game to go to the playoffs, and they only had one win at the time, and it was a tough game. And they drove down and beat us in the end of the game. It was a heartbreaking game against them last time we played them.
I know that was 4 years ago. Is that motivation now? Because this is the first time you're playing since.
Not really. I mean, I'm not holding any grudge against them for that. We're just gonna go out there with the intensity that it's a conference game, and we'll let that drive us.
They get some pretty good defensive numbers. They're efficient at takeaways. What do you see as the biggest challenge their defense offers? What you guys want to do?
The defense flies around. They got a good front seven, and the DBs are pretty solid. They don't do anything that we haven't seen before. So, our coaches are putting in a good scheme against them and everything. So we'll be ready to go against them on offense.
The number of teams that are ranked in this conference, I mean, the vast majority of the teams are in the top 25. You've been around here more than anybody. Is this the best you've ever seen this conference going into it?
Our conference, usually year in and year out, we're pretty good as a conference. We have tough teams. As so far, I know our conference is doing pretty good. They played some big opponents tough, and they've beat a couple here and there. So I'm expecting for our conference to just be as good as it always has been.
They got a pretty good receiver in Burton. I think he's number 3. You kind of challenge yourself against him, or is this he's pretty good, and you're a go-to guy as well.
I know he's a good player. As far as challenging myself against him, we're gonna play against good players every week on opposing offenses. So he's a good player, but I'm not thinking about him too much.
This game kind of reminds me a little bit of last year when you opened up at Southern Hill. I think it was, maybe not the best team in the conference, but one of the top half. Do you see any similarities and maybe what a win could do for you guys?
Yeah, it's very similar to Southern Hill because they were our first game in the conference on the road, and we were approaching that game with urgency, just like we're approaching this game with urgency. It being the first conference game and being on the road, especially. So there are definitely some comparisons.
Is it tough to prepare for a team that you haven't played the past couple of years? Obviously you've played the majority of teams, but one of these teams that you haven't seen in 4 years. So is it tough to because you haven't played them in person or seen them in person?
I wouldn't say it's tough. We got all the film on them that we need, and they're, like I said, they're not doing anything special. So my preparation is going to be just about the same.
Is it hard to kind of relax and forget about football when you're on the bye, when you got the conference coming up, and were you able to relax, or were you thinking about the next opponent?
We weren't forgetting about football. We were staying focused for the most part. We cut back on some running and some physicality, maybe in practice and stuff. But as far as our focus, we were still focused on our tasks during the season and stuff like that. Because the season isn't over. We just had a bye week, so we're still focused.
With this being the first conference game, is there more pressure? Does Coach kind of preach to you guys about maybe setting the tone, considering how many teams have gotten so much recognition going into conference play? Is there some pressure to kind of say, hey, we need to make a statement right off the bat?
Yeah, definitely. We're gonna take one game at a time, but each game, especially conference game, the urgency. The coach has been talking about the urgency this week, and conference. We know how important conference is. When you lose a game in the conference, it makes it that much tougher and that much pressure on the team. So we definitely want to get a good start into our conference, which would be a win at Missouri State.